So we're here with him from Sermon.
Hello.
So first off, I want to thank you for being one of the musicians I really do not have to ask what their preferred pronouns are.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, man. Though I have seen like a lot of bands that are like, there is a band called Girl Band. Wouldn't you know it? There is no girl in the band.
They all non-binary.
Not even that. And there are also at Roadburn this year that was like Hanged Man, and it was a woman frontman. So you never know these, whether
Yeah.
it's false advertising or not.
I mean, whatever people want me to call them, I will always do it. It's just knowing in the first place can be
Yeah, right.
hard,
I'm
right?
not. I'm not taking a dab at like people using preferred pronouns. Just to get that out of the way. It's like just how funny it is to have a gender in the band and not be of that gender.
Yes, yes. That's probably the joke, though, isn't it? Or the theme, I guess. Joke is maybe the wrong word.
Yeah, probably. All right. I just have to say, talking to a mask like that, this has to be the most ominous interview I've ever done.
That's a good. I can promise you, just talking to me, I'm my normal self, except
Well,
for
yeah,
the
I can tell by the voice, but I'll
yeah,
probably take the interview like this just to be sure.
yeah.
Like, there's a huge contrast between the mask, which is like very well made in what it's presenting, and then your voice, you're like just a dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a bit of a. Maybe I should have put more time and effort into creating a character, but it would just be too hard, and it's too hard to be honest that way, I think.
Yeah. So probably at that point, it would be a bit too cringy to just pretend like
Yeah.
you're him.
Yes.
Uh, Plus, you probably wouldn't be doing interviews like this.
No, it would make me. I'd get tired of it. It would be really difficult to do. I think I'd have to be an actor maybe to do it.
Yeah. I mean,
Or
unless you can do a really good character, might as well just be yourself in that case.
yeah, exactly. Or I suppose I could have had something for my voice that would have hidden it. But what's the point?
Mm. All right, so let's talk a bit about anonymity because you're still one of the few people I go on. We have your voice, we know what band you're in, whatever. I know you're from England. I go on Metal Archives. I still don't know your real name yet. So I suppose there will come a day when people eventually find out who you are, like it happened with Tobias Forge or whatever. Have you like been thinking about what would be happening then?
I'm not sure anyone would care enough, really. But I mean, if they did, I'll just do a Donald Trump and just be like, no, that's not my name.
Okay. So did the desire for anonymity come from? More than just uh, trying to not bask in the glory of the good reception your music is getting.
Um, it's because of my day job actually, because I really just need to be known as the thing that I do in my day job. So if you type my name in, it needs to come up with what I do, because of the nature of the business that I'm in.
Mhm.
Uh, that's it.
Which you're not ready to share with us.
What my business or my name? Sorry.
The day job, yeah.
Oh, the day job. I own a design studio.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Like, what are you designing? Did you design the mask?
Sort of,
All
sort
right.
of, yeah. Um, but we design things for like corporate brands and websites and campaigns and yeah, anything really, books.
Mhm.
It's quite versatile.
All right. So you feel like this would interfere, having your name out there would interfere, but not in like the stigma attached to being in a metal band, but rather just the convenience, not
Well,
having the name be first.
Yeah, I think there is you did say something right there. I think the stigma as well, you know, some of the clients can be pretty they can be they can be quite corporate and serious, and they get funny if you don't wear a shirt. Um, so I sort of envisioned if we were to play live, me screaming on a stage and maybe that not looking great. But I mean, the truth is, I suppose no one would really care anyway. And also the other truth is, if my name does end up being leaked out into the public, they're going to see this stupid mask anyway. So
Yeah, I mean, what's worse, being in a metal band or being in a metal band with a mask like that?
probably the latter.
Yeah, obviously. All right, the internet is doing funny things a bit. Uh, Not sure if it's on your side or my side.
Not,
Oh,
can
yeah,
you hear
it's
me?
okay now. It's okay now. I just wanted to make sure you didn't say anything important and like the secret of the universe and we missed it.
Uh, yeah, and then when I perform it the second time, it wouldn't come off as well.
Right, right. So, tell us a bit about the mask. Like, what's the material first, uh, and how did you make it?
So, well, actually, maybe it's worth mentioning what it would have been.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, you
really,
had a silicon mask at first. I remember I read it in another interview, and you couldn't sing as well in it, right?
yeah, that's exactly right. And then I got one. Well, so I had one for a performance, and it was difficult to sing in. And then I got one made, and it looked really cool, and the sculpt was really cool. And it would have made it not look like a mask. It would have just
Mhm.
made it look like a different person, and it got with a gold skin. But it just didn't work. So actually, this is an off-the-shelf solution um, that I found somewhere that I'm not going to tell anyone about.
All right.
And then I destroyed it. Basically,
Mhm.
I got a load of tools and saws and burned it and recoated it, and yeah, it was actually quite fun to make, to be honest.
All right. Is it the only one?
It is the only one, yeah.
So, like, if something happens to it, that's it.
It would be, yeah, that would be the end of it. I mean, I would, if we were, let's say we were to go on tour, um,
And
I
let's
would,
say the band you're touring with, somebody sits on it.
yeah, it'd be ruined. If I would just, I think the thing is, I would just buy some more of these, and I would just destroy them again. But this is a one of the kind. There's no way I could destroy it in the same way again, for sure.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so yeah, it's a one-off.
All right. So let's say it doesn't get destroyed, and in 10 years after your identity has been revealed and whatever, how much do you think it's gonna cost if you're like selling it for charity?
probably probably 10 quid or something.
Oh, then I'll buy
Uh,
it.
I don't think it would be. I don't think it would be a lot. I'm pretty sure that the Ghost guys sell their masks on to really diehard fans,
Mm,
and I would assume there would be a few thousand for sure. Because I mean, I can imagine they cost a few thousand to make at least.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I couldn't tell you. I just don't think we'd ever be that important.
Well, if you do get
Cool.
important, remember I interviewed you before you were famous.
I'll remember it for sure.
All right, that's good to know. Okay. So I have noticed a connection because your mask looks like gold, and you have of golden verses. What is it about gold that makes it such an important word for sermon?
It's the fact that we've as human beings have assigned something to such tremendous value.
Mm,
Even if you coated something in gold that's bad, you would still think it's worth something. Um, so that's really the core of it.
all right. uh, And also, I have seen that you have called trying to get a regal or holy feeling for the appearance, the mask, and the music and whatever. So regal and holy, like authority of faith and holy authority from religion. And this is something that you've also explored in your album, the way that force, arbitrary force, has been used, right?
Yes, I'd
Is that a
say
fair connection to make?
yes, I would say so. But it's at the same time when I am not actually anti-religion at all. Uh, I I am anti people enforcing their will on others. That is
Mhm.
what I'm anti. Sometimes that can be religion, but also sometimes that can just be a point of view. Um,
Yes, it's
I mean,
important to make a distinction between what a person feels about the universe and our relation to divinity and church and religion as institution with power.
yes, I'd say so. I think anytime you get a big hierarchy of people that where any kind of money or any kind of anything is involved, there is always going to be some bad things happening.
Mhm.
And sometimes that is going to be religion, and sometimes that's going to be a corporation. And the company We Work. Have you heard of them?
The what?
So there's a company called We Work, and they do.
Yeah, the name sounds familiar. I think they
Yeah,
got a lot of money and lost it all, something like that, the story.
uh, I don't know if they lost. They basically just kept buying buildings, I think, and
Uh-huh.
just kept basically getting investment money and not
Mhm.
really making enough back. But their corporate structure is almost like a religion. Like people in there evangelize who they work for and the cause that they work for, and it's not similar to something like a faith. Um,
Mhm.
so it's about things like that. I know that sounds kind of boring and dull, and I'm not really anti-religion, which, contrary to what I think most metal fans, maybe that's unfair, but I get the sense that a lot of metal fans are atheists at
Yeah,
minimum, but I'm not.
right. Uh, like I said, because there is a distinction between religion as hierarchy and religion as personal faith. And you can freely have your personal faith and agree that some aspects of that faith have culturally created a culture of oppression towards people that are like you or that are not like you,
Agreed.
that are like other people, and you empathize with that oppression that has been created by the culture perpetuated by the religion.
Agreed. But I also wonder if we didn't have it, what we would use to oppress others other than a
Mhm.
god. I
Yeah,
can imagine.
eventually there's something about human nature that there is going to be some oppression.
Definitely, yeah.
And it just happens to be that us trying to figure out what our relationship with the universe and divinity is, that somehow influenced us. That was the fuel the this time.
Yeah, that is true. It's it's a big. I guess it's not really. There's no one answer for it really, but I know that religion does get a lot of blame because actually there are bad things that happen with religion. Any kind of like equal rights with sexual orientation or um, LGBTQ plus. It can be met with hostility, but I think that hostility also comes from people who aren't religious as well, and you do wonder who is to blame. And I think I would probably just blame human behavior rather than point it towards a doctrine necessarily, even though I do think that doctrines do absolutely enforce it upon people, and I think that's terrible as well. Um, yeah, I don't know the answer, but I do also see religion helping people. It
Right.
gives people, and in a way, I am envious of people who can have hope in something like that.
Mm.
I think the core is you should probably be kind,
Yeah,
be a good.
yeah. It's a much more complicated subject than religion good or religion bad. Like
Yes.
there is a reason why we have uh, made so much into religion. Why we chose to have this such an important aspect of humanity.
Yeah, and arguably it formed societies
Mm,
entirely, but it's also destroyed them as well,
mm,
and go to war. But at the back of it, I would still say that that's human beings with their human greed and their own agenda for power
mm.
to act on behalf of a god.
Right. Okay. Back to the topic of music. Uh, let's go. How should I formulate this? The lyrical content of your song, and I'm somebody who isn't that very much invested in lyrical contents. It's a bit more abstract rather than on the nose saying this is what this is about. It's not like a
Yeah.
grindcore song that's like fuck the state.
Yes. It's
So let's go a bit into the songs of your latest album and let's try and unveil the abstract nature a bit.
sure.
All right, let me pull up the track list because I do not know it by heart.
This is going
Uh,
to be interesting me actually to see if I can even remember it.
oh, yeah, quiz time.
It is, yeah. And am I going to win? I don't know.
All right, The Great March.
The Great Marsh is, I mean, the title is stolen off the Snow Goose, Camel's the Snow Goose.
Oh
And
yeah, Camel.
say again?
Yeah, I'm just recognizing the band name.
Yeah, Camel, yeah. And the track functions in the same way as that track functions, but the lyrical content for that is broadly speaking, it's about the overview of sort of a degraded society, really.
Mhm.
And I thought the Great Marsh, even though it's actually a marsh is a place of life, really. Well, I suppose the Earth is too. The idea of the Great Marsh and it being about kind of the fall of humanity, but the
Mhm.
kind of worked quite well for opening the album.
Right. Uh, so there is this significance of the water in the marsh. You mentioned drowning in it.
Yes, but
Elaborate.
more struggle in a way, rather than natural water.
Mhm.
But I guess
Yes.
you've got the great does include water, which means that the struggle, the drowning is, it's a pretty ham-fisted metaphor, to be honest.
All right. Okay. Royal. We already mentioned the royal feeling and its place as a hegemony of power. Is this reflected in this song?
Yes, I think, it's a long time ago. Royal was about a battle and a transference of power, basically. It's got quite a military feel to it. The rhythm is like it's got that marching feel to it. So yeah, it's really just painting the picture of a battle
Mhm.
between two groups.
Okay. Moving on. Light the Witch.
Light the Witch is about burning people at the stake. It's got nothing. It's not and it's not to do with anything female. It's to do
Mhm.
with the idea that
What's
we
the masculine version of witch?
say again.
What's the masculine version of witch? Like if you
Well,
wanted to say like a gender neutral version of witch, what would it be?
men were still considered witches.
Mhm. Right.
Um, so they can still be a witch. They were still killed for being witches.
Yeah.
Olden days.
Yeah, but they would have to weigh as much as a duck.
They weigh as much as a duck.
Well, yeah,
What do you mean?
because then they can float on water. And if they float on water and they
Oh,
don't drown, they're
yeah.
witches.
Well, I always wondered because I haven't really read too deeply into it. But I wondered
No,
whether that they.
it's a Monty Python reference.
Oh, I see. I haven't seen that for so many years, so many years. So that went straight over my head.
Well, good thing I explained it to you, just like you're explaining the songs.
But yeah, it's actually got nothing to do with lighting witches. Really, it's just an analogy for how we tend to want to sort of proverbially crucify people for maybe their points of view. That's what.
All right. I would say this sort of the cancel culture song, but
Sort of,
sort of.
yeah. But the thing is, it's not just because we've been doing that throughout human history in a way.
Mhm.
Council culture is a sort of I guess it's a more amplified version of things that have happened in the past.
Yeah, I do remember the stories they would say about. I don't remember which queen it was. They would make up the most ridiculous stories about her being incestuous with her children and whatever, just obviously for political reasons at the time.
mm,
So this is why I remember that it's something that has been going way back, like creating this sort of stories and accusations about something. On the
yeah,
other hand, you
absolutely.
have that, and on the other hand, you have how hard it is to prove that something did actually happen. So the only thing you can make is the accusation.
Exactly. And also there's a kind of enjoyment in taking someone down,
Mhm.
being right. Um,
Yeah, especially
so
if
I think,
it's somebody in a position of power that feels untouchable until they're not.
yeah, it's fun, right?
I mean, I do like it when it happens to politicians.
Certainly if they've done terrible things, which I suppose most of them probably have.
I mean, they're politicians, that's their job.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
I don't even know this, but yeah.
Uh, in Black, this one's an instrumental, but if you feel like there's something to elaborate on it.
Musically, it's building into the distance, which is about the moment between a suicidal thought and a suicidal action. It's about that moment between. Um, so I suppose it was called In Black because I think if you're about to feel those feelings, it kind of feels like there is no way out of them.
Right. It's kind of like you can already predict what the outcome will be, and you cannot change it, even though you literally can. But it feels like the fate has been already carved in stone.
Yes, yeah, I think as well. It happens to so many. Actually, the main thing that made me think about that song was Anthony Bourdain's suicide,
Mhm.
and I always saw him as a person who had so much to offer the world, but was inherently unhappy, and something pushed him over the edge, something transient that he could have overcome, but he did. He took the action to do it. And so I suppose the song was just me thinking about maybe if we recognize that sometimes this pain is transient, maybe it could be stopped.
Right. Yes, suicide is obviously a big topic that's really hard to give justice to.
Yes.
But just like any others, like what we said, accusations, power, religion, all of these are very, very complicated topics anyway. So I suppose this is why you went with an approach that's not very direct, like this is my stance on this, rather than just ambiguously touching on the subjects, just alluding to just how
Everything
complicated they are.
point of view of observation. It's not. It's more a description of the situation rather than having a point of view on it.
Having a clear stance on it.
I don't think I have the right to say suicide is selfish or you should be allowed to commit suicide. They're two completely binary opinions about an hugely difficult human subject. So it's irresponsible to have any other position, really. I suppose acknowledging, though, that there is a moment where pain can be less and you don't have to take the action. Maybe there's sense in that for people to hear about that. That's all.
Right. Okay. Senescence.
That's about the aging process of the world. And how we're not speeding it up, because the world will outlive us no matter how much we damage it. But again, it's just an observation that we're sort of or prematurely destroying ourselves, I would say.
Okay. Yeah. This one is pretty clear cut then. Wake the Silent.
So this is more about people who are. This is basically something I noticed, that if you don't take a position on something, or you don't want to take a position on something, or you can't, or you're too weak to do so, people will exploit that to convert you to their, basically.
Right. So if you're a centrist, then eventually the culture can shift towards exploiting that kind of apolitical thinking into extremity. Just like they say that most of the people in 30s Italy and Germany, they were apolitical. They didn't care about politics because it was not something they felt was something that they could change or whatever. Like I can feel apolitical at most of the time because things are so complicated that I'd rather just not take a stance. And then because of that,
it wasn't just politics. It's kind of everything.
That's just like one clear example where this kind of thing can have very huge effects.
Yes. Of course. Yeah. If like a whole country doesn't care, you will get completely exploited, for sure. And then you won't be able to do anything about it because the state will be far too powerful for the individual to rise up. Or they can try, and I'm not sure how much it's. I'm no historian, but I don't know how many times it's truly worked.
Well, late 18th century France comes to mind.
Yeah, where they are now, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right, I wouldn't want to be the French. All right. Golden?
Golden.
That's a Harry Styles cover, right?
It should be.
Oh.
It should be. Bring me on tour anytime. Golden is. It's about. Actually, it's kind of a follow-on from. That's actually maybe more political. It's about a rain, and not rain as in pouring rain from the sky.
It's a rain as a king's rain.
A political or a government. They have forced you into essentially their system of hierarchy and rule, and that's what it's about.
Okay. Center and departure, I suppose this kind of go together.
They do, yeah. Departure is actually maybe the most sinister song on the album. Departure is about what it would be like in it could be a war. It could be it's basically someone killing someone else. It's and it's the moment it's happening as well. It's the interaction between the two people. And I think I was talking more broadly about that moment with humans in general, but as the Ukraine war happened, I could see a lot of parallels in my way of thinking between, say, Russian military and their killing of innocent citizens that have there's nothing they can do. So it's quite a graphic song if you think about it with that context in mind. But it's a very aggressive song because of it. And it's about dying. The end is about death.
It generally is, yeah. Not much other ways you can end things.
No.
Yeah, I mean, this concludes the song to song. Because of I don't have the premium version of Zoom, we only have like 6 minutes left. So I guess that caps our discussion. I have seen David Eugene Edwards at Roadburn about a month ago.
Oh yeah.
And I know Woven Hand is like one of your favorite bands.
My absolute.
Yeah. But at Roadburn there were like so many great bands. It felt like this was a moment where I was like too tired to completely appreciate the music. So I have to admit that on that set I was on my phone most of the time, enjoying it, but not really being transcendently moved by it. So now, what can you tell me that it's something that I should look forward to in his music when I do revisit Woven Hand again? What's something that really makes Woven Hand and his solo work special for you?
So, well, I don't want to speak on behalf of him necessarily, but from
But
what
you
I
are
know
him.
about, but from what I know about David Eugene Edwards, that he's a very religious man. He is committed to his faith, but he doesn't like the church.
Mm-hmm.
When I've seen him live many times, and I think he's maybe the most captivating performer I've ever seen because he is self-possessed. He completely channels his inner belief out in the music. And I have to say, I don't think I've ever seen another band like that. I do hear though that when Dead was in Mayhem, I think there was a similar level of conviction in it. I'm not saying that David Eugene Edwards like slits his wrists or anything or buries his clothes in the dirt for months.
I haven't
But
seen him do that.
no, but I just don't think there's any performer I've ever seen that means what they sing about like he does. And it's like a ceremony, I would say. You've got to, I think you have to like the type of music that it is though to get that. But I think he's an amazing performer, and I've always loved Woven Hand, but I know it doesn't sit well with everyone. But I just think it's super dark and super honest, committed. And honest as in he's being honest with himself.
Mm.
Whether he's telling the truth or not is it doesn't matter. But he is certainly being honest with himself, I would say.
Yeah,
And it's just like playing in England, I don't think, which is a shame because I'd love to see him again.
all right. So the last question is last two questions. We still have 3 minutes, so prepare your answer in 2 minutes.
All right, I'll go.
Your music has often been described as progressive music, but there's also a bit of a pop simplicity to it, and you also mentioned you had nods to like Michael Jackson in the music.
Yeah.
What's something about pop music and metal that makes them often feel so antithetical, and how can metalheads who are usually opposed or disgusted by pop music get to enjoy it?
I mean, it's a personal preference of mine because
Mhm.
as I've got older, I used to seek out the most underground bands that I could because it felt like it was part of my identity. But now my brain's tired and it's lazier, and now I just want hooks. So for me, I enjoy a poppy hook. Now, what I don't enjoy is a homogenization of sound and music, which I would say pop is very guilty of. But I'd also accuse that of metal as well. And I'm not even saying I'm solving that. I might well be part of the problem. But I do think it's a good starting point to. I think it was harder to come up with a good pop song than it is a good riff, because it's difficult to make an all-encompassing thing be liked by millions of people. Whereas a good riff, I'd say I'm much better at that. So yeah, I don't think I'm not going to convert anyone, but I I would say that Sermon's music is not that prog really at all. Not in terms of structure. We use mellotrons, but yeah, it's not. I don't think it's very prog. It's quite, especially this album, very blunt force, aggression, maybe a chorus or two.
All right. And the last question, if you could
Mm.
get any living director to direct a music video for Sermon, who would it be?
Oh, I don't know because I don't think I deserve it, and I would feel really.
Imagine you had $1 million budget, whatever.
It's a good question. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to answer it in time before the Zoom call. Oh,
Well,
fuck.
less than 1 minute left. You have to come up with something.
I've just got to cycle through who I know. Um, oh, actually, do you know what? One of the guys that did the Ghost video. Oh, no, actually, no. No. I'm going to change my mind. I'd probably go with someone like Spike Jonze because I think I loved the Weezer video that he did. I just think he's got a good sense of humor, and not that we're a funny band, but I'd like to see some kind of short little story in it, maybe.
All right. And last words.